The third episode of NieR Automata version 1.1a came out, and it was so fucking good. But before we're gonna talk about the episode, we need to talk about two informations real quick. First, the more important one. Due to COVID, episode 4 and all the subsequent episodes got postponed for now. There is no date yet when it will continue. However, the Japanese website states that starting next Saturday, episode 1 to 3 will be rebroadcasted. So it might take 3 weeks until episode 4 gets released, maybe not. I'm just speculating here. It would be cool if they would have made some improvements to the first episode regarding the CGI now, but I doubt it. And the second information is regarding the format of this video, or of these videos. I'm still not happy with the way these videos are, because it feels like I'm just recapping the episode and give some more background informations. So in this video I will just tell things I noticed during watching the episode, and assume that you watched the episode as well. But yeah, I'm gonna talk more about this at the end of the video, so if you're interested in kind of like my personal thoughts on my videos here, you can watch the video to the end. If not, then you can just stop watching it when I'm done talking about the anime. But yeah, let's start with the episode stuff. The first interesting scene for me was when 2B and 9S talked to the weapon dealer in the resistance camp. We can see in the background 4 weapons. On the left is Kai's sword, followed by the Vile Axe, Ancient Overlord and Iron Will. The Vile Axe, Ancient Overlord and Iron Will appeared both in the Ragnarok games and NieR game. Technically Kai's sword appeared in Ragnarok 3, but it was only as downloadable content. I can understand why they choose the Iron Will and the Ancient Overlord. The Iron Will is together with the Spear of the Usurper, the only weapon that appeared in every single game, from Ragnarok to NieR Incarnation. And the Ancient Overlord is purchasable from the weapon dealer in-game, so that makes sense. It's really strange though that they choose the Vile Axe, because it actually doesn't appear in NieR Automata. It only appeared in Ragnarok 1, Ragnarok 2 and NieR Replicant. As far as I'm concerned, it didn't even appear in NieR Incarnation, and NieR Incarnation has a lot of different weapons, also from older games, so yeah. Or it will maybe get added in the future, so if you watch this video in the future and it's in the game, then yeah, it got added later on, but at the current point, as far as I'm concerned, it's not in NieR Incarnation. Even if they wanted to have an axe there in this shot, it's not like there aren't any axes in NieR Automata. Well, there are only 2, but still. Sure, the fangs of the twins would have been a bit out of place, but the machine axe would have looked fine, I would say. Even looking at the weapon stories of the Vile Axe and the machine axe would have made more sense for me. The weapon story of the machine axe is about the machines questioning why humans do certain things like fighting and love. You even obtain the axe in the desert zone in-game. And in episode 3 we see more and more that machine lifeforms aren't just weapons created by the aliens anymore. That they do have emotions and some sort of sentience. If you look at the different weapon stories of the Vile Axe, or the Foul Blade like it's called in Ragnarok, it's more about revenge and killing things. In NieR Replicant, it's about the girl getting revenge on the 3 soldiers who killed her father, mother and brother. The story ends with the girl killing the family of one of the soldiers, except of his son. She gives him the axe with which she killed all 3 soldiers and his family, and disappears in the darkness. In Ragnarok 1, it's about a wizard who imbued an elemental spirit called Salamander into the axe. Yeah, it's the same salamander like the pack partner of Ariosh, which is kinda interesting. The salamander whispered to the wizard he should feed the axe blood in order to make it stronger. The story ends with the axe being found next to a withered mummy as dry as a petrified tree, and the axe still lusting for blood. So it will just continue with like whispering to its owner like, kill stuff and I will get stronger, and in the end it will just be the doom of the owner. The story in Ragnar 2 is also fairly similar. It begins the same, with a wizard embedding the salamander into the axe. This time the axe would whisper words of hatred to his owner, slowly driving them into madness. The axe gets stolen by a thief, which later on will extend his territory and becomes the chief of a large group of bandits. Later on, a soldier acquired the axe, who became the lieutenant of an order of knights. But in the end, both of them get murdered by their own men because how mad they got, because of the wild axe. The only reason I could think why they added the wild axe is because the way you get the wild axe in NieR Replicant is by buying it from the blacksmith in Seafront. So it's still a blacksmith. Maybe they choose it because of that, but I don't know. If there's any meaning behind why they choose the wild axe, we might see it in the future episodes, or perhaps I'm just like usually interpreting too much into stuff, but yeah. Also, just because the wild axe doesn't appear in NieR Automata, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist in NieR Automata. And regarding Kai's sword, I think it's just there as an Easter egg, to be honest. It's a weapon most people will recognize, so like I just said, I think they just added it as a small Easter egg. Because like, yeah, with the wild axe, not a lot of people would recognize it, or like, hey, does this weapon even exist in game? So yeah, and the Kaini sword. Kaini is one of the more popular characters, so a lot of people would know the hero sword. So yeah, I guess it's kind of like because of that. So let's move on from this scene. The next interesting scene was the one where 9S hacked the Goliath biped. When we see 9S descending further down the hacking sequence, the barriers around him change from this yellow border to this black one. The black borders remind me of how a black box looks like, which actually makes sense because in the end a black box is built out of multiple machine cores. Shortly after, a door appears in front of him. There's a sequence of numbers and letters on the front of the door. I first assumed it's just a random sequence, but it's actually a hexadecimal code. If you translate it to text, you get the sentence, "I promise love of eternity," or something similar. I might made a typo when I translated it, but I also saw like other different variations, but it's always kind of like, "I promise love and eternity." As soon as 9S enters the door, he finds himself in Facade. We already know that the machine lifeforms knew about the civilization of Facade, thanks to the masks they are wearing. But it's interesting that they choose the wedding of Fira and the king of Facade, which when you translate the sequence on the door kinda like makes sense in the end. There are two differences between this version of the wedding and the one from NieR Replicant. First and foremost, NieR, Weiss, Kaini and Emil are missing. It would have been cool if they would have been included, but I guess it would have also be kind of problematic because of Emil and his whole backstory. There would be a lot of confusion about why Emil is there and why he's now just a head, and will be kind of like confusing for people who watched or who never played the games and just watching the anime. So yeah, that's I guess it's kind of like the reason. And the other difference is that the king of Facade is wearing the mask correctly. The only reason I could think of why they did this is so that there is a clear difference between the king of Facade from NieR Replicant and the king of Facade from the anime. Which, yeah, it will kind of like, or we know that it's a different universe already because of the character Lily and Anemone missing. So in this universe or timeline, the king of Facade might have worn his mask correctly, maybe, and that's kind of like the difference in timeline already, or rather that we see there was differences in the timeline even before what we see in the anime. But yeah. Also, if you're curious what Rule 904 is, Rule 904 says that the wedding has to be sealed with a kiss. Yeah, and that's also why we definitely know that this was the wedding of Fira and the King of Fasada, not just like a random event of them. Or like yeah. There are two more scenes that are worth speaking of, with the first being the scene where they found the corpses of the androids. The android corpses themselves aren't that interesting, but rather the nearby destroyed machine life forms. The first machine life form we see looks like this. I have no idea what we should see exactly. I'm not even sure if this should be sand covering the machine life form or not, because of the physics of it. Especially on the face, it's kinda weird. It almost looks like it got petrified by Emil. And why there are two eyes drawn into the sand is also a mystery for me. If there would be a third eye, I would say it's maybe a Cult of the Watcher reference, but there are only two. There's also the indication of a hand where one of the legs should be. A little theory of mine is that this might be like the first tries of the machine life forms creating human-like machines, because it's right before we see Adam, or like the place where Adam gets born. So it maybe is like, yeah, kind of like the first tries, or the first failed tries. But yeah, and shortly after one corpse, we see a pile of multiple machine life corpses covered in the same material. And there are also some indication of the eyes and arms. So maybe they just tried it here with multiple machine life forms. I don't know. And the last interesting scene was where we see Adam get born, or how he got born. Simply because we actually saw the barebone skeleton. Like, yeah, it's not just he falls from the egg and he's human, but we actually see like a robot skeleton, which is interesting, I would say, because we never saw it. We know that he's a machine life form, but we never actually saw his skeleton. And before I'm gonna end this video or start talking about my personal thoughts, one last honorable mention is just look how cute this is. It's so damn cute how 2B pets pot 042 and how 9S holds pot 153. Also, the puppet show at the end was really funny and I really loved it, and that's always kind of like a highlight for me personally, the puppet show. But yeah, okay, that's it for this video. I'm gonna talk more about what my thoughts are about these videos now, so if you're interested in my personal thoughts regarding this topic, keep watching. If not, you can now close the video. Also, this will be non-scripted, so it will be weird, because when I'm not on a script, or when I can't read off a script, it's gonna get really weird, and yeah. But yeah, I wasn't that happy with the first two episodes, especially the second one. It kind of like felt I would just spit something into, or like mash my hand on the keyboard, and then there is a script, and I'm just gonna read this, and then I'm just gonna like poop onto my PC, and there a video, which was not really good. So yeah, it kind of like felt I'm just recapping the whole episode, or recapping basically, or like telling what happened, which I wasn't a really big fan of, but I somehow, or for some reason I did this, I don't know why. But yeah, I don't want to do this. I also try to get like a good rhythm on like when I'm gonna upload these videos, because I want to make them for every episode. There will be 24 episodes in total, if I remember correctly. So yeah, and I think this kind of like style of video type is something that, or is more like it, that what I want, with like assuming you watched the episode and me just giving to interesting scenes or scenes that I found interesting, some background story and like research stuff. Yeah, that's kind of like what I actually want to do and not just recapping the episode and giving more background story. So yeah, that's kind of like how these videos will be in the future, probably, most likely. Maybe I'm gonna figure out a different way on how to do them, which maybe will suit me better. Who knows? For now, I'm just gonna like wanna stick to this format with really just informations. Nothing like recapping, just more informations for the episode. So yeah, I have no idea what to say anymore. So the best thing to do is to wish you a good day, morning, evening, whatever time zone you're in. And yeah, I bid you farewell and glory to mankind. Bye.